excited about this. A long-time friend and colleague to many of us here in the room, and she has been an outstanding leader in the manufacturing space for many years. And she happens to be the CEO of Takeo Comfort Solutions. So Cheryl Merchant and Johnny White theoretically and figuratively and metaphorically and always joined at the hip in terms of leading Takeo Comfort Solutions in the family of brands, and they really distinguished themselves as exemplary corporate citizens here in Rhode Island. But that's because the success of the business is such that they have been able to make a global impact and an extremely well-run business with many of the Takeo colleagues here today. So today, Cheryl is going to be talking about her lessons. So we are here, we're going to be treated to a masterclass, if you will. So Cheryl is going to lead us through what she describes as 4 decades, as it was presented in the program. 4 decades of lessons learned, lessons from the trenches. She has led many enterprises in addition to Takeo Comfort Solutions, where today she is CEO. Most recently, before that, before going to Takeo, she led Hope Global and many other companies. She's very active in the community. She's a member of the board of directors of the Greater Providence Chamber of Commerce. She is one of our sustainability champions. And for those of you who want to know more about sustainability, let me just mention that we have an incredible program to help those of you that are interested in getting certified to really accelerate and advance your supply chain credentials. So with that, we really appreciate everything that Cheryl does for the community, and we can't wait to hear her lessons from the trenches. A masterclass with Cheryl Merchant.
Okay, so short people, Lori asked me why the high heels today is because of podiums like this for little people, just so you know, all right? And as I pull out my notes, I thought multiple times, do I wear the glasses to read or the glasses to see you? And I didn't do either, so you're all safe. Don't worry about it. It's good. It's going to be good. I want to take 2 seconds to add on to what Lori just said. So beyond, you know, Johnny and I have known each other now for 25 years since I've been here in Rhode Island and had 3 events myself. But have talked about this dream team forever. And finally, about 6.5 years ago, he twisted my arm and there might have been alcohol involved. We decided to go for it, and I will tell you, I could not be more privileged than to work for the White family, for Ben and Johnny and Liz and all that they do for this community and the arts and with the White Family Foundation, and I'm very, very proud of the team. So after 39 years, you gotta kick it up to 40, so they say. And thinking about that, over 40 years of this career, I have seen supply chains disrupted by geopolitical issues, wars, government needs. By that I mean your materials or your equipment got to a border and somebody found another fee that you have to come up with before you can get that released. Transportation issues, labor issues, economic issues, pirates. I don't think anybody's talked about aliens yet, but I'm sure it's coming up. Fires, floods, and oh yeah, that global pandemic. And the one thing that we will all know is there will be a next. So somehow I need to say these words, that the answer is have an amazing team. There's no silver bullets. And I wish you all great luck. And we're 40 minutes short. I'm going to give you back your life. It's you ever have one of those conversations, you get to know somebody and they say they work for supply chain and you go, oh, how about them Pats? Don't get into that subject, right? So the supply chain resiliency has been that kind of topic for more years than all of us can mention. We've expanded, we've streamlined, we've optimized, we've integrated, we've gone global, we've nearshored, we've offshored. I heard friendly shore today. That was a new one to me. Gone direct, we've brokered. The list is on and on and on. The strategies are endless, and I will repeat, there is no silver bullet. So I'm going to try to take just a few minutes of your time today and talk about 3 things that I think are incredibly important, and then wrap it up. And I've named a couple of people out there to flag me down if I go over, but this works too. If you just look at it, I figure you got an Apple Watch and you're checking your email, so that's not important. You have to put it up here if I'm going too long. So I'm going to tell you, number 1, get rid of the word suppliers. They need to be partners. If they are not partners, you will fail. Because things will continue to go wrong, and things will happen, and you will just be one more of a long list. When you need to be able to call and say, we're in trouble, here's the issue, you need to have a name. You need to have people at the other end. You need to have communicated and said, here's our global plan. We plan to grow or capacitize or whatever that issue is, and you need to have partners that are ready to go that mile with you. They need to be aligned. They need to understand what your expertise needs are and where you're headed and where you're going to grow by geographic areas, by products, all of those things. Because one of the other subjects I talk about is called guesswork, and it doesn't work either. So you need partners. And you can do this in multiple ways. I will call out, I'm not sure, Mark would know, it's probably been 20 years ago. We hired a supply chain management, worked with Mike, was one of his students, right out of this school. Brought him to Rhode Island, here at Hope Global, and then ended up sending him to Mexico because our U.S. immigration, he was from India, and it was a little difficult at the time. But that man went on the street, went in the air, for 1 year and audited every single supplier. What was their technology? Do they have EDI? Do they have barcoding? Do they understand what is coming next in technology? What is their expertise? Are they ready to grow? What is their capacity? How much of that capacity is mine? Are they ISO? Are they certified? Are they compliant? And oh, by the way, when you go to China, are you hiring children? You need to ask those questions. When you go to a foundry in Vietnam and find out that people are not wearing shoes, should you be doing business there? Or should you make a difference? When you make a difference, when you have partners, you change the world, you change your supply chain, and you become the preferred source. One of the first things I did when I went to TACO is I called in our shipping broker, our logistics broker, because there was no contract and I wasn't sure where they were at and what they were doing, and we could see things were happening. Anybody was watching, we were over in Vietnam, we were in Italy, and Johnny and I used to have nighttime nightmare talks about what was coming. But sitting with that logistics company and asking them, how is TACO to you? He said, well, you know, I founded this company based on TACO. We have grown because of TACO. We have 11 different countries, and this is what we're doing. I said, so what does that mean to us? He said, I want to do everything I can to make you succeed. And I said, that's interesting because I have the same thing for you. That kind of relationship, folks, when there is 5 places on a cargo ship, and they're already calling you and saying you got 5 minutes to decide if you're going to put $15,000 down just for the chance to be on that boat. And who's going to get on that boat? You want to be the one that picks up and says, hey, this is important. I have a customer issue. This is a hospital pump that has to happen because there are babies down there without air. Those kind of things matter. And without relationships, it doesn't happen. You can do it in a lot of other ways. Go out there and, one of the first things, quick and dirty, do a survey monkey, right? Ask all your customers, here are the top 5 things. I actually had a supplier come back and say, you really need to move your business. We're in trouble. How can you not know that? We have guesswork. You have suppliers out there that are concerned. They have labor issues. They have transportation issues. They have supplier issues. And if you are not aware, and if you do not have the communication that they can pick up the phone and say, I got a problem. And trust me, 35 of my years was in automotive. One of those phone calls I had to make was to the head of materials for a Canadian automotive or automotive plant in Crown Victoria, Grand Marquis. And I picked up the phone and I called him and I said, I have an issue over here. We have a contract and we have a heat relief program that's about to go in effect. I should be shutting you down in about 4 hours. He said, wow. Now, understand in automotive, if you don't have your parts meeting that car, $10,000 just to move it to the yard. And as you continue to fill up a yard full of vehicles that don't have the seats you were supposed to be putting in it, and then you have to start paying extra people to have them redone. But he immediately jumped and he said, Cheryl, this is what I want you to do. Do not try to piecemeal me. Jump 12 hours, start here, we will contain the problem, you build yourself back up, this is how we did it, and together we made a plan and minimized that risk. That's when you can get things done. That is, the risks are gonna happen. Somebody talked about it today. They're there. There is no way to not have it come at you. The deal is to be able to work with somebody and get through it. I tell my guys all the time, you cannot run a company from a corner office. I do everything I can to give them information. And they hear me at all time saying there is only one boat. We are all in that boat. It does you no good to say, hey man, you're into the boat's leaking. Because if the boat goes down, everybody's in it. What I'm telling you now is get your partners in the boat. They need to know where you're going, the speed you're going at, what your plan is, and how it's going to happen. Or they can't help you. It sounds so basic, but in many worlds, a supply base is a place where you make money. You hold people accountable, and that's part of it. But you still need to work together. You still need to understand what is happening and how can we do this. And only one guessing at the other end is not going to work. Again, so basic. Working together, amazing, huh? Luckily I work at Takeo. So number 2, and my favorite friend and colleague that I've been together with from, I think the only time it was a bad situation when I took 2 years of beating from taking her from the government, from everybody, but her favorite phrase, good paper makes good friends. Yes, absolutely. You need terms and conditions, you need contracts, you need expectation, you need goals. In that communication, here is what we plan to do, and this is what we see you doing. How do you feel about that? We would like to combine these 3 different parts and work with you. We have a development that we are working on, and your expertise looks like it'll be perfect. All those commitments, have the paper. Everybody needs to be clear. I say this all the way, even to our employees. You know, we all kind of struggle with this, I'm looking around the room, how young everybody is, new generation, right? I don't know, I should say things like that, but everybody wants to know where we're going. What should I be doing for the next 3 years? What are you looking to develop me with? How can a company sit and have a development plan for a half a dozen employees that don't know about that plan? It doesn't work. Here's what we're thinking of you, and this is how we see your training. Where are you at? That kind of collaboration, whether it's with an employee, whether it's with partners, whether it's logistic partners or whatever that may be, it is so important. We have, there's a breakout session that I think a number of my team's going to be going to on AI. So I will tell you that Tinko has very recently, and boy, I don't know who talked about the bunny rabbit today. God, that was scary. We should probably talk. But we're jumping in. But to do that, and by the way, we used the Bryant group to do vetting, said here, we're looking at this, and what can we do, and the supply chain group, they came up with so many strategies. They did all the interview process for us and really dug and went. So very interesting on being able to do that. But literally, when we got going and everything else was happening, and they were sitting down at the table and everybody's debating back and forth, do we really want to spend this kind of money? Is it going to be hollow on the inside? These guys don't have experience in our kind of area. They showed us a lot of options, but not with us. And I said, I grabbed a hold of our CFO and our head of our supply chain and said, I want a personal meeting. And what's the concept? We're going to talk. And that's when you sit and look somebody in the eye and you ask, how long are you in? You are key to this, and your number 2 man is key. How long are you in? Do not BS me. Do not take 1,500 people's livelihoods at risk. I will help you succeed. You help me succeed, but I need nothing but truth. When you have those kind of conversations, you can step back. And we shook hands. And then I think they spent about the last 3 weeks working on the contract. Still do the contract. Still have your exit clauses. Still know what your expectations are. But you gotta know who you're doing business with. Wherever it's at. And I know that gets harder. In Rhode Island, these kind of events, I was blessed. 2012, I got my honorary doctorate here at Bryant and ran World Trade Day for 3 years, and it's better to use MC. But this is when you do it. When people come up and share cards, you want partners. And it's hard. It's like we heard this morning, everybody wants to sell something, and who should it be it? You still have to vet. You still have to work your way through. But you have to be able to have somebody that when things are in trouble, you can either count on them that they are working through the night to do whatever they need to support you, or they're going to call and let you know, here is where I'm at. And maybe you send people. Right? 2 ways. We've done that. We want to implement this program, but our customers are currently that preferred supply base didn't have the ability. We got the machines. We went in and trained. Here are amazing companies that are, grateful to be having that kind of relationship and the ability to really grow, because everybody wants to succeed, right? Nobody's in business out there to fail you. Everybody prays that phone call doesn't happen, but it will. It's what then? What do you do then? How do you communicate? How do you figure it out? I had a I would say it was a hard lesson, but I was supplying seats to the Oakville assembly plant. And we were making cut and sew car seats and sending them up, and it was a brand new launch of a plant. We were making, I can't even remember how many thousands of them a week. And I was watching the numbers and looking at the production and everything's good. But it turned out I had a couple gentlemen lying to me. By the time I got up to my boss, it was with the words, "I'm about to shut them down." We were in an office, my office, quite a good size, a long table. He walked back and forth. Both the head of production and the head of materials was sitting there, and I was standing by the window, and he walked back. He looked up and he said, I cannot believe you let me down like this. And he walked over, and he walked back, and he looked at that materials guy, and he said, "If you ever lie again, you will not sell peanuts in this country." And he stood there and he shook his head. He looked at me and he said, "You know, I run 11 operations. My job is to collaborate and make sure they all work together, and you've just told the world I can't do my job." And he looked back, and he looked at the production guy and he said, "And you SOB, I put you here so this didn't happen. You'll be lucky if she lets you work till tomorrow." Shook his head and walked out. Wasn't a swear word. Wasn't any of that. Worst beating I ever got in my life. We do not want to let people down we care about. That's your trick on a supply chain. Maybe it's not the head guy that knows every single one of them. You should know the top 20. You should know your 5 best, your 5 worst. Who's your criticals? Where are you looking to grow? What are your opportunities to collaborate? Where is your chance to be able to possibly come together in a whole new business process? Or when you're looking at integrating, any of those things. But you have people out there, and you need to teach them. We heard a little bit about Walmart's and a few others of what they're doing. I've done business with Walmart. It was on plastic bags. They rotate their buyers every 5 months, something like that. So they are not allowed to create relationships. They have 0 tolerance, and they have tremendous fees. And they're really, really big, and they can do that. I would suggest that that's not the way to do business. We have lost a lot when it comes to relationships. It saddens me quite a bit. One of the things working with Johnny is more than once we just had a gentleman come over from across the seas, and more than one of our management had been talking to him, and we went through COVID, and it was rough. It was very rough. Most of our suppliers need 6 to 12 months. Our customer base wants 4 to 6 weeks. Everybody knows that story, right? So the question is, how do you hold inventory? How do you optimize? How do you know? And the real key here is communication. Because you cannot guess. That's my 3rd point. Do everything you can to take the guessing out. Most of us in supply chain know the story. We look backwards. We look back over the last 6 months, right? We do averages, we project, we know seasonal, all of those things. And then we try to say, okay, here's what I'm going to need in 12 weeks or 12 months. By the way, did you sit with your top customers and find out that they intended to reduce their inventory this year? Maybe not. So you've got these POs in line, and now you got customers shutting you down or not ordering the levels you thought. And what do you have here? Lack of communication. There's many ways to get to it. When you're looking at costs, and I use this, and I can do this because I'm a woman. I like that phrase, by the way. When I go shopping, and somebody doesn't have my dress size, and I really like it, but they don't have my size, I'm going to tell you in 5 minutes, they know where it's at, what it will take and what are my options. I heard that word. What are your options to getting it? You can pick it up at this store, we can have it shipped direct to you, or you can come back to this store at this point and I will have that for you. It's a phenomenon that we are trying to duplicate. It's very difficult in various industries. Nobody wants to share your inventory, and my word is, please believe me, I'm not trying to run your company. I have enough to do. But we need to understand when that customer, and we're guessing and going backwards, and we're looking and saying, okay, hey, we think they're gonna need 100 of these pumps, and then they only order 50. Who knows we got that other 50? You gotta communicate. But if they say, we think we're gonna need 100 and they only order 50, they still know, I've got 50 more. And maybe there's something that can be done. Or maybe if there is a platform that they can look at, and Johnny taught me this one a long back, and he was in New York City, standing in our gallery, and unbelievably, I don't think the gentleman knew who he was talking to, but got into a conversation, and he was talking about needing a circulator, and how it's going to take 16 weeks. And he said, I cannot believe somewhere in this United States you do not have a circulator. How true is that? So when you're looking for parts, do we think they don't exist anywhere? Would there be any way to have some kind of look and collaboration? Lone Rangers are not working. I'd say that. I heard some things this morning about the big boys. Okay. They have some techniques. They are working in some instances. But it's not the best way to go. So building teams, having that preferred supply base. Maybe you have an improved supply base, but then you have preferred ones, the ones that want to grow, the ones that are willing to invest, the ones that are reaching out and got a lot of your alignment. And you know what? Maybe you're holding training teams together. Maybe you're bringing your engineers in for development together. There's so many opportunities that go above and beyond just getting a part. But we've really, really shut down this world multiple times for that reason. And then there's setting expectations and effective communication. And then there's taking out the guesswork. So, by the way, I saw the timeline on this. I thought I had 40 minutes, and then I saw that it went from all the way to 1:30, and I thought, oh my Lord, how am I gonna? We're gonna take multiple soft pauses, but but this guesswork, whether it's AI, whether it's coming up with databases, you know, and we all looked at them, and I heard about it this morning. Same thing with us, right? COVID hit. 2 weeks, our entire global company from across the globe, Italy, Czech Republic, Texas, California, Canada, all of them, 100%, we're all on teams, we're all talking, we're all working together. Huge lessons learned, right? If you want to do it, you can do it. Let's find the roadblock and stop. Take a deep breath. To keep telling people, you are not alone, this is a big boat. And I will joke with folks, man, if you see something, get over to the water cooler and tell that guy, I can tell you're in trouble, what can I do? Some of the most basic, right? So I would ask all of you, and you can shout out, there's some of you who are dying to do that to me. How do you want to be remembered? At the end of your career, when you're not working anymore and somebody's having a conversation, how do you want to be remembered? Knew how to grow companies? What? Understood global? What would it be? Kind? They were really kind. Take care of customers?
Stayed on schedule for the luncheon.
How kept their promises, right? That's kind of the way to live your life. I would challenge all of you to think that way. How do you want to be remembered? When you have a John Hazemore standing up here, or Ben, or any of them, and they have a legacy of caring about people. That's how things happen. I can't tell you the relationships that when I came into TACO, I was here 3 weeks, and it was only 1 week before I broke my leg, so 3 weeks, went to my first trade show, biggest trade show we had, and we had all of our global reps. We have all these rep divisions around the States and Canada, North America, and everywhere. And I swear, there were 2,000 people that bleed green and had T's tattooed on some part of their body, which I didn't know I needed to do. That kind of network, what can you not do? What can you not do when you can pick up the phone? When you got relationships that man, nobody lets anybody. We have numerous meetings of all of these guys who you could say they're competitors. They're all doing the same thing everywhere. But we work hard, but when something like a Katrina happens, what do? Knock down the barriers. We need to find pumps. We don't care where. Everybody's calling anyone. Check your warehouse, let's do this, let's do that. When a COVID happens, what are we gonna do? And we start doing those. How about we just figure out how to do that on a regular rolling basis? How could we do that? I went to a concert, my daughter who's turning 15 tomorrow. Interesting enough, I gave this speech, I don't even know, maybe 50, no, it was 12 years ago. That's what it was, because she was little. And I was dropping her off at daycare, and I had to drop off 24 cupcakes on my way to do this. So a little bit different. But she took me to this concert, Hosier. And that gentleman got up there, and I didn't know who this singer was, but got up there and talked about being kind, and how we've lost it, and how there's, how we're get all excited about these protests. And yet, this country was built on protest. Women vote because of protest. And the list goes on, right? The non-judgment, the ability to understand, and the ability to accept and this diversity and inclusion that we put names on it. I didn't even know there was names. It's like, why? But it's good, and we need to figure that out. And I truly believe that's part of how we can stop doing this supply chain mess. Now, I will freely admit we're trying to get out of China too, but hey, there's being smart and doing kind. And the programs, the things you can talk about. We just recently, a team of our guys went over to India. We had, the provost was talking last night, and was talking about how this gentleman came from India and how TACO was doing business with them and they're trying to grow. And we went over there and looked at a number of operations, and we just signed up with another one and a partnership that is, by the way, going to have consignment warehousing right near our factory. It's part of the doing business, it's part of what they want. They want to be able to ship complete, we want to be able to accept, this is how things roll. Working through a huge supply chain question together and coming up with a solution. And sometimes a solution that nobody even thinks about, right? So you can do consignments. We had a Italy supplier that was seriously, in 1 year, microchips. We all know that word, don't we? Went from 50 cents to, I think the highest we paid was $80 per chip. And when you talk about supply chain, we literally took our customer bought box to give us to build parts for them and literally handed it to a guy and said, you are not allowed to stop and go to the bathroom. You will take this $1 million box and you will go directly to the supplier that's building our control boards. So we do things, right? Supply chain, you will do things. Customers will do things. They want to work with you. They know you're in trouble. They come back. And the programs go on and on about how to work with each other. But I come back around to what do you want to be? So you make those contracts. And I had this conversation with Johnny just the other day. I said, we got a contract. It says we are not liable, we do not have to pay. This is what we stand. It's all very, very clear. But this person has been amazing. This company has helped us 3 times in difficult situations, and I noticed this, and Johnny just said, go do what's right. And that's what I would challenge. People have trouble, supply chains have trouble, work it through, look for solutions together, but at the end of the day, when you've got to make decisions, still do what's right. Trust me, I have pulled tooling from suppliers. I have been in there, tried to help, and we've done everything else. But at the end of the day, you always know you did what you could do, and it's time to move. The list of how it's like, I think the best way to always think about how to act is to be on both sides, right? And for those of you that are here from Rhode Island, no, I don't like to say the F word, but we were flooded pretty badly at Hope Global. And I mean flooded with water rushing through the windows. I rowed a boat with Senator Whitehouse through our shipping door and the gentlemen that were standing there were up to their thighs in water, and we lost everything. Material's gone, everything else is gone. So here, as a supplier, I sat down and started calling my customers. First thing you do, here's what we're doing, here's how we are, this is what we think, this is what we're gonna handle, here's how we're moving this is we got coming from here. And you know what? I got, do you need mechanics? How's the shipping? Should I move this truck over? Talk to this is what we can do. We had built such a relationship at that point. We were basis of design, we were set, and they jumped. In the meantime, our competitors took that picture from the paper that says Hope goes under and sent it to all of them and said, hey, you gotta do something quick. So that stuff is still out there. But the relationships are what will save you every single time. So you get from your supply chain what you put into it. That's my answer. And I will tell you, it's been a hot topic. It got hotter. You saw that volatility up there, right? We shut China down for months. Who did not imagine what was going to happen? And then you know what we do? We cut POs, and we stop the incoming. And then we're out, and then we're up. The volatility because we're all trying to react instead of sitting down and planning. It's an amazing thing. But create your strategic partners. It's worth the effort. It doesn't happen overnight. Johnny spent 40 years in doing it in both directions. When he says he loves people in the plant, he loves the supply base, he loves his customers, and I've never seen people pull together like the industry I am in now. That's when it makes a difference. We excelled through COVID. There was a tremendous amount of us working together. Always, always treat like you want to be treated. If somebody's going to pull business, if you need to do it, you want to know. Be honest. We have it happen to us all the time. Customers taking it internal. This is what they need to do. And they're staying connected. Staying connected. So that's my no silver bullets. Take one of Mike's classes. He's got the basics. I love it. He puts on amazing students. Build yourself a team. Make that team work together. Always have contracts. Be clear on expectations. Communicate. Recognize. When you have a supplier that just hit it out of the park, how good does that feel? How good does it feel for you? Be brought into your customer and say, this one right here goes above and beyond. You gonna let them down next time? I don't think so. That's what changes the world. That's the decisions that change. And it's tough. I can't even imagine. I wanted to ask Tori this morning, what was their top 3 initiatives on supply chain for 2024? But we all were out there, dual sourcing. You gotta do it. You gotta have backups, you gotta work. Learning how to have better communicate and have information. Right? Learning how to be agile. We were doing it, we literally, our new product development turned into sustainability. How do we keep going? And there's a lot of industries that are difficult all the way across. I got a friend back there, by the way. When I say plan, try to take the guesswork out. I was here many moons ago, 2008, I think. And if everybody remembers the recession, we were in automotive, we had 15 customer bankruptcies. Only one that didn't go down, I think, was Ford, because they sold their name. GM, Cooper Standard Tire, Lear Corporation, all of them, 15, and lost more suppliers than you can possibly imagine. I mean, literally call you and say, you need to come and get your goods. Wait, no, you don't understand, there's no one here, you need to come and get your goods. That's when it's really tough. That's when you start looking at how do we do it? Can we make it ourselves? Where do we go? So those times are going to happen. They are absolutely going to happen. And there's no way, it's like that Toyota comment, which crisis do we plan for, right? Who wants to plan for the next pandemic? But you can do things to make it tighter so that when things happen, you have a network, you have a force to go after it. And that's the way it works. So, Ava Marie, I think you have done an amazing job in reinventing this. And I will open up the questions if you want to do that. I think I have 5 minutes, no? Okay. So, thanks. I say this to you. Thank you, everyone. Good luck.